Hi everybody, and welcome back to the series A Journey Towards Emotional Self-Regulation. And for those of you who are new, I am Smriti Gopal. I am an educator, a conscious parenting coach, a conscious living coach, and a present moment awareness coach. So in this series, we're talking about how we can learn self-regulation by understanding our emotions. So in this video, I'm going to very simply talk about the 6 steps that we can follow for emotional self-regulation. Here are the 6 steps towards emotional self-regulation. The first step is recognition, becoming aware. And how does one become aware? You become aware by tuning into your body. What does it feel like in your body? What are those sensations making you feel? And that is how you recognize that there is some emotional outburst. And these sensations in the body are usually a lump in the throat or a tightness in your chest, a heaviness in the shoulder, a tightness in the back. It could be a feeling in the gut. It could be a feeling in the head. So it's very different for different people. I can share with you what I feel when I know emotions are rising. And it's very, very distinct in my case where I feel a lump in my throat. I feel my heart constricting and therefore there is a difficulty in breathing. And sometimes I feel a heaviness in my shoulder. So how does this help me? So when you are checking in and tuning in, especially when there's something seems off, going into the body and seeing, okay, what's happening? You see that these things are happening. So this is a recognition, the first thing. Brené Brown in her book, The Atlas of the Heart, introduces us to a new word. It was new to me, and that is emotional granularity. And what she says as emotional granularity is our ability to accurately recognize and label emotions. And for those of you who are already in touch with your emotions, this may seem very simple. But for many, it is a daunting task. First of all, we may be disassociated with our feelings. And secondly, we may not know the right names to what we are feeling. So this step is very crucial and important to many of us if we are not in touch with our feelings. And if we are, then we are already doing this first step. Susan David, who is a Harvard psychologist, says, learning to label emotions with a more nuanced vocabulary can be absolutely transformative. So do you see how this first step is so important? Because we become aware of what we are feeling, and that's what labeling does. For those of us who are not comfortable with our feelings, there is a kind of a fear that is associated with emotions. Because when we feel those emotions, there are certain things that happen to our physical body, and that doesn't seem pleasant all the time. Some of these emotions bring up sensations and manifestations in our body which make it very scary for us. And that's why we run away from these emotions. So I'm here to tell you that these emotions are really here to serve us. They are not here to make us uncomfortable or harm us. They are in fact the messengers. They are here to give us a message. And what is this message that they are here to give us? Maybe they are signaling something that we need to care for. Maybe they are signaling something that we need to avoid. Maybe they're just signaling something that needs attention. And then we go to the next step, which is the naming. And this is what Susan David says is a very, very transformative step, is to name what we are feeling. So for the longest of times, I didn't know what this was. But giving it a name and accepting that it's here made all the difference. So basically the name that you give this feeling that you're feeling. So for me, it was anxiety, anxiousness. And of course, underneath that is the feeling of fear. You're fearing something which makes you anxious. And that is the investigation that goes in to figure out what we are fearing. So step 1 is recognition and step 2 is naming. Step 3 is context. Context is the thoughts. What is it that brought on this feeling? Why is it that you're feeling this way? Did something happen in the day? Are you thinking of something? What is it that's happening in your present, or which happened in the past, or the worry of the future? What is it? Basically an investigation of the context. So once the context becomes clear to you, or at least you get a glimpse of the context, then you go inward. And to go inward, we need to sit with your feelings. This is what it means to sit with your feelings, is to sit and allow that feeling of anxiety or fear or these, whatever the tightness and everything, just allow. What I recognized in my own journey is the resistance to these things is what makes it worse. The moment you allow, it just is there. And you don't want it gone. Oh, I want this moment to change. Then there's again a resistance to the present moment. And the acceptance to what is what eases these the feelings and the manifestations of the feelings in your body. And the one thing to know, which helps a lot, is these feelings pass. They're not here to stay. You will notice, if you do your own investigation, that feelings arise, they stay for some time, and then they go down. Whether it's a feeling of elation or whether it's a feeling of sorrow, sadness, grief, everything just arises. And the other very important point to keep in mind is many feelings can exist at the same time. So these two facts actually were very helpful for me, because then you know what's happening within you. So then you receive the messages that are coming. So anxiety, what is this? Oh, I am having a talk, and so I'm kind of very anxious. And so this is the context. And when I go inward, why is it that I have a talk, but why am I feeling scared of this talk? Because I want to show up in a particular way. And why do I want to show up in a particular way? And why is that fearful? Because I want to be accepted. I want to be seen. So these are the things that come up through the messages. And seeing through it shows you that the fear is coming up because there is an expectation, there is a way that you are putting pressure on yourself, or something that comes up. So once you receive these messages, you respond to it with compassion. So you allow that feeling to stay, and then you change that narrative in your head. So responding to this message is showing up for yourself with compassion, to say, I'm here, it's okay to feel the way you're feeling, you're giving it your best, and it will be what it is. So the moment you respond with compassion and lightness, seriousness makes all the emotions just multiplied. So meeting it with a lightness and with compassion is what response is. And if in the messages you have got a message that there is something for you to do, that, like, for example, you're very stressed, maybe you can take a day off, or maybe you need to sit and meditate for 5 minutes because there's a racing of thoughts in the head. So then you do that. So sometimes the response could be an action, and sometimes the response could be in just the attitude and the caring with which we meet this particular emotion that has come up. And most importantly is to beware of this feeling of wanting it gone because of the fear of feeling your emotions. So maybe emotions have not been allowed to be felt, or maybe they were allowed and then you had some consequence which does not feel pleasant for you. These are all stories from the past which are inhibiting and keeping you from experiencing your emotions in this moment. And you will figure all this out at the moment when you're sitting with your feelings. So recognize, name, context, go inward, receive, respond. These are your 6 steps for emotional self-regulation. So try practicing it in your own lives. If you just liked what you heard, please share it with whoever you think would benefit from it, and hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet done so, to know about the new episodes that are going to come up. And until we meet again, stay alive to your emotional discoveries and label the emotions that are coming up for you. Thank you, and bye-bye.